On August 6, 1945, a city just vanished. In a few terrifying seconds, a single weapon redrew the map of war and power, and it kicked off a brand new and, frankly, scary new age for humanity. So today, we're going to break down how that one day changed our world forever.
It all happened in just a few seconds.
An entire city full of life was changed.
Forever. Thousands of lives was just snuffed out in a flash of light. What was left was a kind of horror the world had never, ever seen before, and one it could never forget.
Okay, so let's go back. We're in Hiroshima, Japan. It's the final brutal stretch of World War II, and as the city wakes up, it feels like a totally normal summer morning. People had absolutely no idea they were living out their very last moments of peace.
And this timeline, wow, it just paints such a chilling picture. See, an earlier air raid warning had just ended, so everyone probably felt relieved, a false sense of security. By 8 a.m., life is in full swing. People are commuting, kids are on their way to school. But look, just 14 minutes later, thousands of feet up, completely invisible to everyone below, the American bomber Enola Gay is circling into position. The city has no clue what is about to happen at 8:15.
And then, at exactly 8:15 in the morning, a single bomb is released from the plane. It falls for 43 seconds, and in that 1 second of detonation, a second the world had never seen anything like, well, it wouldn't just decide the fate of a city, it would redefine everything we thought we knew about conflict and power on Earth.
But here's the thing. This wasn't just a bigger bomb. It wasn't just more dynamite. This was a weapon built on a brand new, terrifying scientific principle. So what on earth made this bomb so different?
It was a nuclear weapon, the first one ever used in the history of humankind. We're talking about splitting atoms to unleash a catastrophic, almost unimaginable amount of energy. Nobody on the ground, and honestly, very few people in the entire world, could even begin to comprehend what was about to be unleashed.
The detonation itself was instantaneous. So let's look at what that immediate, devastating impact actually looked like for the world below. Before the sound, before the shockwave, there was just light. A silent, blinding flash that some survivors later described as being like 1,000 suns. It was so fast, so completely overwhelming, that there was literally no time to even react.
The energy that was released is just staggering to think about. We're talking 6,000 degrees Celsius right at the center of the blast. That is hotter than the surface of the sun. This unbelievable heat didn't just burn things, it vaporized them. Buildings, bridges, and people just gone, leaving nothing behind but their shadows burned onto the stone.
You have to understand, the destruction came in waves, all at once. First, that flash and heat incinerated the city's core. Right behind it was a massive shockwave, a wall of compressed air moving faster than the speed of sound that just flattened almost everything from miles around. In those first few seconds, tens of thousands of lives were just extinguished.
But the horror, it didn't stop with the fire and the blast. The bomb unleashed something new, a silent, invisible killer that would keep claiming victims long, long after the fires had died down.
And this really gets to the unique cruelty of this weapon. For the people who somehow made it through that initial blast and the firestorm, an even more sinister ordeal was just beginning.
That danger was radiation. The explosion contaminated the entire city with these invisible particles that attacked the human body from the inside out. Survivors who, seemed okay at first, they started to fall sick with these mysterious illnesses. Days, weeks, even years later. It was a poison that lingered in the very ground they stood on.
The aftermath was just a vision of hell. The city's entire infrastructure was gone. No hospitals, no fire department, no emergency services. Survivors wandered through the ruins, many of them severely injured, desperately searching for family they would never find. And for decades, the ghost of radiation-induced cancers and illnesses haunted every single person who lived through that day.
The shock waves from Hiroshima didn't just flatten a city, they radiated across the entire globe. This one event fundamentally and permanently changed global politics, warfare, and even how humanity saw itself and its own power.
And things moved incredibly fast after that. Just 3 days after Hiroshima, a second bomb was dropped, this time on the city of Nagasaki. Only 6 days after that, Japan surrendered, bringing the deadliest conflict in human history to an abrupt and absolutely devastating end.
You can literally draw a line in history. The world was now split into two eras, before the bomb and after.
The very idea of war had changed. It wasn't just about nations fighting anymore. For the very first time, humanity held the tools for its own complete and total annihilation.
And that's really the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? The story of Hiroshima isn't just a history lesson. It's a permanent, stark warning about who we are, our incredible capacity to create, and our equally terrifying capacity to destroy.
Which brings us to this final and maybe most important question. The events of that day pushed the entire world into a new, incredibly precarious reality. And decades later, as we try to navigate our own complex world, it's a question we have to keep asking ourselves. Has the world truly learned Hiroshima's lesson?